I applied to the 17th Cliburn International Piano Competition, one of the major piano competitions in the world. I got rejected, and I'm a better musician because of the whole process. This is my personal journey of pursuing a concert piano career, dealing with failure, and experiencing artistic transformation in the process. Hello, my name is Batalla. I'm a husband and father, a pianist, composer, and teacher. I recently concluded a years-long personal goal of applying to a major piano competition, the Cliburn, held every 4 years in Fort Worth. Many artists who have shaped and impacted music and art in our world today have participated or won a medal in this competition. Pianists aged 18 to 30 from all over the world are welcome to apply. Since I am currently 29 years old, this was my last chance to attempt this personal goal. Last year, I was one of 340 pianists in the world who applied, and I was one of 44 American pianists. While the Cliburn is only one of many prestigious competitions in the world that ignites the careers of many young artists, this competition is particularly personal for me. I felt really compelled to share with you all about my journey of pursuing this gargantuan mountaintop goal to which I dedicated my entire life toward, especially my 20s. My entire 20s were concentrated toward this one goal. And in a way, this goal has culminated and it's ended, it's gone. I know that competitions do not necessarily define success, but again, this was really a personal goal that mattered to me. The process of preparing for the Cliburn, applying to the Cliburn, and ultimately failing, getting a rejection letter, this whole process was really transformative. I felt like it matured me and it grew me as an artist. So I want to share with you how this life-changing journey of mine of dreaming big, of daring towards the impossible, and ultimately failing was worth every step. I want to share the inspirations that led to my applying to the Cliburn, the process of discipline and practice, subjecting myself to criticism and refinement, how this whole experience built me up into being a more communicative artist and being more resilient and ultimately a more fully alive human being. I didn't hear the name Cliburn for most of my piano education. I didn't come from a particularly musical family besides your stereotypical Filipino household with a karaoke machine. The name Cliburn came to me for the first time when gold medalists of the 2009 competition, Haochen and Zhang, came to my high school to give a masterclass. At the time, I was attending Dreyfus School of the Arts in West Palm Beach, Florida. I was one of the students who was selected to play for him, not knowing that I would be receiving wisdom from a genius and a true artist. At the time, he was only in his 20s, but I have a very vivid memory as a 16-year-old of his ability to phrase and create images with his sound. At the end of the masterclass, we also begged him to play for us, knowing that he was the winner of the Cliburn. We wanted to hear his best stuff, and I was expecting something like a flashy etude or a showpiece. But instead, this man in his young 20s played Schumann's Traumerei, the famous piece that Horowitz played. I remember that recording really well, and I remember it leaving such an impression on the audience, and it still stands the test of time today. That's what this young pianist played for my high school class. As a teenager, I remember being moved deeply and stilled in a sense of awe by his playing. I felt as if he was communicating some truth, like a story, and I was able to receive it. He opened my ears to new possibilities on the instrument, and I left feeling more inspired than ever before in my piano education. I just wanted to go home and practice. I wanted to sound like him, and I wanted to achieve that same mastery. For the first time in my life, I felt a sense of wanting to strive for something greater than myself, for something that feels impossible. I wanted to experience the feeling of risk and of achieving something high stakes. In 2017, I also had a chance to see the final round of the Cliburn in person, and I watched Yekwon Sunwoo take the gold medal after performing the Rock 3 concerto. I had never heard that concerto live, and I was just so excited to hear it for the first time with my own ears. It was an experience of transcendence. The space felt sacred, and I could tell that the audience was being filled with something immaterial. Once again, I go back to that word, truth. Like there was a truth being communicated to me through this playing. And it was no longer about the playing anymore, about his pianism, but it was about beauty, and it was about beauty facilitating this experience of community and unity with the whole audience. I'll never forget after he performed the iconic applause after the final chord. The applause lasted minutes, and as an audience member, I shared Yekwon Sunwoo's feeling of triumph and overcoming difficulties to get to that moment of playing on stage. I felt this longing in my heart to run up on the stage and join him, to experience that power, that feeling of transcendence on stage, communicating art with an audience. I wanted to be there. I had already finished my undergraduate degree in music at that time. I had won and lost competitions here and there, but being at the Van Cliburn competition, it just convinced me of my desire to experience something larger than life, something transcendent on stage. And ultimately, I wanted to communicate that transcendence to people in the audience. And as I was thinking about this desire and seeing how I would fare, how I could stand against this and apply, I knew that I was less experienced than many of the potential applicants to the Cliburn. I came from a modest musical education. I didn't attend a fancy conservatory. My repertoire list could have been more extensive at the time of my application. My resume lacked an array of medals here or there, or appearances with this orchestra or that orchestra. However, I knew deep in my heart that I had this capability to communicate to an audience with music. I knew that some aspect of my art moved people. So I thought, despite all these technical flaws or my experiences, my resume, I had something to bring to the table. So I wanted to do this, and I was willing to put in the work. One of the most challenging aspects of fulfilling my goal was finding a teacher who was enthusiastic and willing enough to take me seriously and to prepare me to be a competitive applicant. And this is what I know to be as so essential to the development of an aspiring pianist. Everyone, whether in the arts or sports or anything difficult, everyone needs a mentor who not only believes in their capacity for great things, but also possesses the ability to help them fulfill their potential. Through my musical education, I've had a mixed bag of teachers who, on the one hand, believed in my potential as an artist and fueled my unique ability to communicate something. And then on the other hand, teachers who either didn't think much about me or were too busy, or at worst, demeaned my talent, told me I couldn't do it. In all honesty, it took a long time to land a teacher who was, willing or crazy enough to take me on, knowing my background, knowing my limitations. All I wanted was someone to give me a chance to try this. I knew very well from the beginning that my chances were low, and I just wanted someone to give me the opportunity to try. I had one critical teacher come through. Her name was Sophia Gilmson, and she's still my teacher to this day. I remember reluctantly and nervously presenting this desire to pursue this competition to her, and she didn't even blink an eye. She said, "Let's do it." But she gave me the caveat knowing that more than anything, the process is the prize. The process is the prize. And I kind of, shrugged and said, of course. I wanted to win. I wanted to get to the next round. And only looking back, which is why I'm doing this reflection, do I realize that the process was really the prize in all of this. For a while, I thought that I had no place in this music world. It's crazy how one sentence someone tells you, whether it's a teacher or a colleague, can kind of determine how you view yourself, can kind of define the way you view yourself in relation to music or art. And, I've had a couple of sentences in my life proclaimed to me, you can't do it. You should think of doing something else. One was particularly difficult. I'm very expressive naturally, just as a Filipino, but on the stage, I make a lot of faces when I play. I try to be more, focused on the music, but I remember one comment of a colleague telling me, I make all these faces, but I say nothing with my fingers. And I remember that being a really tough kind of vowing sentence towards me. And really, Miss Gilmson was to thank for healing that and kind of helping me remember that I did have something to say and I do have the ability to. And she was the one willing to kind of go there and explore those territories with me. And I really do thank her for this whole process because once again, I feel confident on stage. Sentences like that I mentioned led me to a lot of anxiety and ultimately depression about my inability to communicate through something I felt like I could communicate the best. At the time growing up, I really could only communicate my expressions through the instrument. I wasn't that good with my words. I still am not that good with my words now, but the piano was really my source of communication. And when that gets cut from your life, whether through an injury or some comments someone can make to you, it's really debilitating. So Miss Gilmson was in a way healing me and rehabilitating me to be able to speak again, which is one triumph from this whole process of the Van Cliburn. She took me on and we looked through our repertoire together, and ultimately we both decided to choose repertoire that reflected who I am as an artist. I hope to flesh this out more in future episodes, but I just want to touch briefly on the discipline and the practice that was required to help me prepare for this competition. Like I said, I have a full-time job as a music director at a Catholic church where I direct a choir and different ensembles there. It was really tough to set a routine and a practice schedule where I could practice consistently preparing for the Van Cliburn. The best days were when my son would take a nap. I would just go to my keyboard and put the headphones in and practice. It wasn't ideal. I didn't have a Steinway. I don't have a Steinway in my house. So it really taught me to find these little nooks of practice throughout the day versus when I was in college, I would just have 8 hours. But honestly, these few pockets of time allowed me to practice really efficiently for the first time in my life. What I used to do in 5 hours, I could accomplish in 10 minutes. And that was through Miss Gilmson's help and just the emergency of time. And the best trick I learned, which I want to share with all of you, was using my phone to record. I heard about that a lot and I kind of shrugged it off as if I was above it. But basically, I would find a phrase from, let's say, Gaspard de la Nuit on Ravel. I'd highlight measures 33 through 37 of a particular movement, and I would just voice out loud on my iPhone saying, I'm going to achieve more clarity in this phrase by doing XYZ. And I would record myself doing it. I'd stop the recording, listen back, and I'd do another recording saying, here's what worked and here's what didn't. And it basically, I was able to achieve what I wanted just by verbalizing it and letting me be my own critic. That really helped me get prepared in a way that I never experienced before. I felt better knowing that I could still do this being a dad and a husband and trying to work a full-time job as well. The next step for getting ready for this competition was performing. And basically, since I'm not at a university, I'm not at school right now, I went out of my way to schedule performances at so many venues. So at least once a day, I was performing for people. So again, I don't have an agent and I wasn't on the docket for this hall or this orchestra. So basically, I went from anywhere to a nursing home, to churches, to Steinway dealers. And I just asked them if I could perform in their venue. And most of the time, I would just invite my friends and my family. Occasionally, there would be strangers who would come, and it was just beautiful because I was able to practice my pre-screening repertoire constantly every day. Every performance was getting better and better. And by the last performance, I got to perform in Rome in October, around the same time I was submitting my application. I felt so free. It was the best playing I've ever felt honestly, in my whole life. This whole process of of practicing, preparing, of being super meticulous with every phrase and verbalizing my goals, and then putting my stuff out there every day, just built my confidence in a way that I never experienced before. Without this application, I wouldn't have had this opportunity to articulate my mission as clearly. And now I feel like I can do that. Even after receiving this rejection, I realize I want to communicate beauty and transcendence, and I want to create opportunities for unity through live music. And especially in our time in society where we feel so fractured and separated and segregated by ideology, by political differences, music can really denumb all of that and bring people back together again. I really feel like that's my mission moving forward, and I don't think I would have arrived to that kind of clarity if I hadn't pursued something like this, because it forced me to ask myself, amidst the pressure of a full-time job and my family, like, what is my purpose? So what did I gain from all this process after a rejection? Again, due to Miss Gilmson, her belief in me, and a reconviction of my art, I was able to come to the conclusion that I do have something to say at the instrument, and I'm capable, and it takes work, but with work I could achieve the ability to communicate something effective. There are so many stories from these little performances at the nursing home or at the church, or even just doing my audition videos, just so many connections with people who were moved by one small thing that I did, by a passage or a piece, or just my witness and my love for music. It just, one audience member told me that they were denumbed, that they were kind of opened up again. And that one comment really was the victory for me in this whole process, even after receiving a rejection. That the ability for someone who is experiencing hardship in their life to be opened up again, to experience joy. Another win is, I think that now I'm able to show my children to pursue hard things, even if it's going to result in failure and rejection. The process is worth it because it builds you up. My repertoire is bigger, my phrasing is cleaner, my musical messaging is precise, and I know exactly what I want to say, and my audience members are moved. My message to you and to anyone watching is do big things and sacrifice for it, even if it's fleeting, because I think the eternal reward, the lasting reward of community, of transformation, of relationship, it's better than, you know, a gold medal or winning or achieving something. Like, the true achievement is this lasting virtue that is built up in your life. So after the Van Cliburn, I am built up. That's the word that keeps coming up to me. And I'm hoping that through this experience of sharing with you, of pursuing the Van Cliburn competition, just so you can feel encouraged to do those hard things that are on your heart, those dreams. So I hope that you'll continue to follow my channel, and more music making to come, and I'll share more events and performances in the future. But thank you for listening to this story about the Van Cliburn competition, and I plan on attending the actual competition live in May and June, and I just can't wait to see the artists who were selected instead of me, because they were called to share something that I wasn't called to, and I can't wait to just see how ultimately God chose those people to display his glory in a way that I couldn't. And I'm just excited to kind of reflect and see for my own life, like, how am I called in a small way to share his glory too. So thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you next time.